members, Bethany United Church of Christ, Councilmember Shamus Dewant, and many local organizations rally to call for Seattle's political establishment to return land to New Hope Missionary Baptist Church and to fund urgently needed affordable housing. Watch on Rainier Avenue Radio's YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and find more info on our website. The Rally for Reparations, Unity, and Affordable Housing. Saturday, July 24th, 2021, noon to 2 p.m.
On Rainier Avenue Radio.world, look for the Change Your Food, Change Your Life show. I'm Dennis Weaver, your good food guide and host, helping you to feel good and look good, and who wouldn't want some of that? All that and more from the Change Your Food, Change Your Life show on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Stories, songs, and guests.
Hold on, I can't hear you.
The good food life and the rest of your life just may be
You
the
said what?
life. Oh, what's up, baby? To your help.
About the construction?
Radio, servicing the Filipino and Filipino Americans all over the world. Radio, streaming live in the internet every Tuesday from 1 o'clock to 2:30 p.m. Seattle, USA time. We are your host, Kuya Bert Kawili, Emma Heron, and
Manny Panganiban.
Radio.
Do you want to reach out to the Vietnamese community in Seattle? Just advertise in Nguyen Tây Bắc, that is Northwest Vietnamese News, the longest running Vietnamese language newspaper in our region. Go to nvnorthwest.com.
Your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio.
Welcome to Clean Greens Living Live, broadcasting on Rainier Avenue Radio. It's your host, Queen Bree and Robyn T. Hey, Robyn, how are you?
Hi, Queen Bree. How are you? Great
I'm
to see you.
Good to see you too. I'm doing good today. I got some rest, much needed rest, so I'm doing good.
Excellent. We all need that. And a little reminder, we are coming to you from unceded Duwamish territory. To find out more, you can go to Rio Rent Duwamish. And we are going to be speaking a lot about land back today anyways. So we'll get into that. But I want to mention our theme music you're hearing today is produced by Cuddy Fresh, aka Carrie Williams. And of course, our veggies, our season is all going strong. Okay, so you can volunteer, you can donate, you can get your weekly veggies, you can come visit us, and always our website is where you can get that information, or in our socials. But the website is cleangreensfarmmarket.com.
Yes, and also come visit us at the markets every Saturday and Mondays now from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We also have a children's program kicking off. We have reached our kid amount, but we are still taking donations. This program helps to create kids who are eating healthy, learning how to feed, grow their food, how to take care of the land, how to give back, and how to help their community. Speaking of community, there is a rally for reparations on July 24th. It will be on the corner at 21st and Fur. And today we're going to dedicate that show talking about it and getting a little bit more information on the rally and what is going to happen on Saturday. So today we always have our executive, but today he's coming in today as activist, a community leader, Reverend Jeffrey. Come on, welcome on.
Hi everybody. How you guys doing?
Hi
Good.
there.
How are
You're
you?
doing a great job with this program, with the show. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Saturday, this rally is stemming from property being taken from your church and some of the other families in that community. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, in 1969, the New Hope Church was forced to a forced sale under eminent domain to give up properties on the corner of Fur and 21st. And we have the documents, the letter written by the pastor, and the letter objecting to the taking of the land, the letter to trying to buy the land, but they insisted that if he didn't sell, they were going to take the land anyway, and under eminent domain. Now, some people have said that our struggle is against eminent domain, whereas I don't particularly like eminent domain. I mean, this is not an eminent domain, a struggle against eminent domain. This is a struggle against weaponizing eminent domain, weaponizing it with racist language and racist attitude. We went through the archives and we found the racist language that was used to remove African Americans from the Central area and to seize land from African Americans. They were called ignorant, they were called criminals, and they were called the undeserving poor. This is just some of the language that was in the documents that were used to justify the seizing of land from African Americans, beginning in 1961 and culminating even today, where right now the African Americans are pretty much been driven out of the central area and driven and scattered. The recommendation of that report was to put them in ghettos, and so they've just been scattered everywhere. So so that's what we're trying to do right now. We're trying to begin the process of quantifying the removal of African Americans and the taking of land. And we're quantifying the taking of land. We know that we're not the only ones the land was taken from, but we're going to quantify the taking of land from this church, particularly because this church has been in the community, and it's basically middle and lower middle class people. I mean, they're not rich people, but they put their pennies and nickels together to buy that land, and it was taken from them. And when it was taken from them, wealth was taken from them, along with the families that were living in that block. All the land was taken and given to a situation that a parks department that could hold the land in perpetuity without any kind of redress. So we're coming against that right now and saying that we want to quantify the worth of the land that was taken, and then we want to have the city either restore the land or give reparations to the church. We believe in this one little thing, we are demonstrating the principle of reparations and defining for the community how reparations should happen.
One of the things I like that you said you had a press conference, it was yesterday morning around 9.
Yeah.
One of the things that I like that you said when they asked, what happens when you get this land or this reparations back? And you was like, this is my business. What we plan, this is our business. This was our land. We get to do what we want. And that is true, but you have shared that you want to build low-income housing for families. So this isn't just about giving back something that was taken from you. You will be getting that back and then building something else that benefits everyone.
Yeah, we want the land to be used to restore the community. We bring back people who were pushed out of the community. We want to build housing and low-income housing and housing that will bring these people back into the community so that they can benefit from their origins that were in this community over 70 years. And so I just think that our goal is not to hoard the land or to develop the land for profit for any for-profit situation, but to give the land back to the people and to restore the land so that people can have a place to come back to.
Yeah, I was hearing you speaking and Mr. Eddie Rye speaking as well about some of those so-called urban renewal being Black removal. And I think the numbers in the neighborhood and in Seattle of the Black community are under 15% when they were over 75%. And when you have the documentation and the paperwork from that time in the 60s, and they use some of the words they used to describe the community they were literally trying to remove, those terms seem more accurate of Black removal and what has happened. And then what are they calling things like that today? Like weed and seed and things like that. So it's really great to see some of this being brought to light and people getting to understand what actually happened and what's happening to the community, because it's a huge tragedy to lose space and to lose the neighborhood and the community that's been cultivated. So I'm really excited to attend the rally and hear more about this.
We hope everyone will be excited to attend the rally. What they did was they took wealth from the community. When you take land, you take wealth, and they took the wealth and gave it to the wealthy, and that's the problem here. And I think that it is the taking of the wealth, taking of the land, that is keeping a perpetual reality of the poor, keeping people perpetually poor, keeping people unable to take advantage of their investments. And I think that that's the problem here. And what we want is to put a spotlight on that and to let people know that this wasn't driven by markets. And that's the lie that everybody says, well, this is driven by markets, and that ultimately the markets decide land values, and ultimately the markets decide how people move back and forth. But that's not true. This was driven by the heavy arm of a racist governmental system that basically targeted a group of people. And first of all, by dehumanizing them and demeaning them, by calling them ignorant and saying they were all criminals and that they were all, backwards, and that they had no sensibilities. When in fact, during that time that they were saying this, many of the citizens in the city worked at Boeing. They had jobs in a lot of other industries. They were hardworking people. They had moved up here to get jobs in many of the as shoremen working on the shore, longshoremen. They were hardworking, decent people, and they had businesses. They had restaurants. They had stores, and they had grocery stores. They had all drugstores. They had all kinds of things that they had created for themselves. And to define them in that way is just racist. And to say now that, that was in the past, when you are benefiting from the stolen wealth of those people, is not acceptable. And I think that what we're saying now is that the time has come to begin to talk about reparations in this very small area. But the time has come for the discussions of reparations to begin, because it's certain that people are going to hide behind the whole notion of markets driving everything, when in fact they're manipulating the markets in such a way that they will push others out and benefit themselves or people like them.
I was just going to say, who's controlling the markets for the markets to change here or there? One of the things that people always talk about is
in this instance, the heavy hand of racism had their hands on the scale, and we can document that.
Yeah. One of the things that people always talk about is that none of the people who are alive who started the slavery or created this mess, and none of the people are alive who went through it, not realizing that all of that trauma has been passed on from generation to generation, and realizing that reparations is a start. It is not the fix, but it is the start for African American communities to start building and creating the housing, creating the wealth, and creating the programs that can help them with that trauma, because they don't recognize that a lot of the trauma, like when their parents abused them or their parents was drunk, a lot of that was passed down through slavery and not knowing how to care and take care of their families.
Well, I think that this is not about slavery. This is about 1961, 1969. This is about modern policies that are stripping wealth from people and taking land from people. This is not, you don't have to go all the way back to slavery.
Well, it's not going back to slavery, but it's saying that people are still benefiting from things like that. Like even from 1959, wealthy people are still benefiting from that. People are still benefiting from the traumas that have happened to the community.
I agree. I mean, I think that what people need to understand is that they do benefit from the destruction of other people. And I think some people say, well, that's not my responsibility, and that happened before I was born. But at the same time, like you said, I mean, we do have a responsibility for the deeds of our fathers. and our grandfathers. I mean, if our grandfathers and fathers die with a debt, we have to pay that debt or lose the property. If they, we have a responsibility to clean up after those who've gone before us. And if we don't do that, what happens is mess continues to accumulate. If nobody's going to clean it up, every generation leaves some mess for the next generation to clean up. If the next generation simply says, you left the mess on the floor and I'm not going to clean it up, then it just stays there. And that's what's happening in this country. The whole mess that was left from slavery, the whole mess that was left from Jim Crow, the whole mess that's left from the racist systems to come into communities with names like the urban renewal and all of that is still on the floor. And we're just simply continuing to accumulate mess, accumulate problems, accumulate pain, accumulate suffering. And eventually, if that's not cleaned up, then some generation is going to suffer the consequences of all of that, because we can't live in this space with all of that with all of that being ignored.
And sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I like that explanation of each generation leaves a mess, and until somebody cleans it up, it's just gonna stay there.
Yeah.
Is that where you were gonna?
Yeah, it's like you were both saying how the trauma's passed down, and then on the other side, the oppressors, the white people, the wealth has been passed down. And even when you were mentioning before, like, what we do with this is none of your business. And that is so true, because no one has ever looked at the generational wealth that is passed down since slavery, if you want to go back that far, or if you want to go back to the 70s or 60s, or if you want to go back to when the Homestead Acts, when all the land was given to white people and none was given to indigenous and none was given to black or people of color. So they got to have that that wealth to pass down, and no one to tell them what to do with it. And here you are wanting to help the community and build affordable housing, so.
The land that we're farming on was passed down to the family, not, the white family. They're good people. I'm not trying to berate them, but through the Homestead Act.
Yeah.
All that land was virtually given to them. And we're paying rent to farm that land, but that land was given to them through the Homestead Act.
See, and you're finding the documentation. This is the thing. We're tracing it back, and you can start quantifying this stuff.
Yeah, you can quantify it. You can quantify the pain. You can quantify the damage. I mean, it's easy to do. I mean, it's not difficult. And I think that just saying racism is not enough anymore, because people are saying, well, I'm not racist. I'm not racist. But to quantify the damage done to our children and to our community is a very important thing. And to do that in our time is very important for us, so that we can leave that for our children, so that they can at least know what the worth of that damage is and what the worth of that pain is. Well, not really accurately, but at least they can know approximately what the worth of that pain is.
If you're just tuning in, you are tuning into Clean Greens Living Live, broadcasted off of Rainier Avenue Radio. We have Reverend Jeffrey on here, who is talking about the rallies for reparations this Saturday. It will be at noon on the 21st, the corner of 21st and 3rd. I did go and look at the news conference yesterday, and there were like a few questions. There were two that I'll read, because the other ones had really nothing to do with us, and it just a lot of extra stuff. One of the questions was, does this rally include indigenous people? They did say that it is about time for Black people to get reparations, but they were asking, was indigenous people included?
All are welcome to the rally. And actually Miguel Maestra is going to be one of the keynote speakers at the rally, who is with El Centro de la Raza, and a lot of the people from El Centro are going to be here. And we have welcomed the indigenous people. I have calls into people from the indigenous community. So I mean, all are welcome to the rally. I mean, this is about explaining the seizure of land, and obviously the indigenous people can have a lot to say about that. And it's about saying enough is enough. I mean, there are people bragging about their power and their wealth, when in fact they have really done evil things in the past, and manipulative things, and destructive things to many people of color and people who have suffered from that destruction. So yeah, we these are voices that we need to hear.
Another question was, a lot of the times when we talk about project building and building apartments and other things, the white man gets the contract. So another question was, who will be the contract? I'm stating it nicely, but they just want to know who will be the contractor, who will be gaining from this as a contractor once you get that funding and you start to build these low income housing.
Well, I can't say who the contract is going to be because it's going to be bidded out, but I can say that what we built, we've had 2 building projects in the past. We built a triplex, which now serves with a cafe, which now serves to help homeless children, and that triplex was built solely by African Americans. About 90% African Americans built that, and then we built 5 townhouses, which we were using to leverage debt that the church had after the fire that it suffered in 1995, and those buildings were built 60 to 70% African American. So what I can say is that we have a history. We have a history of making sure that African Americans are involved in everything, every project that we've ever had. And at the end of the day, we also believe that at the end of the day, the New Hope Development Institute, which is run by an African American woman, Lanisha DeBartoleben, will control the apartment complex. She'll be doing it in partnership with Lehigh, but she will have control of that in partnership with Lehigh, because we don't have the capacity for the nonprofit loans that we're going to have to get. But so we have partnerships with Lehigh, but we will be in control of the spaces in the apartment complex, and we're working out rental share agreements as well before that's done. So African Americans will own the land, own the buildings. The New Hope Development Institute will own the land. So yeah, we have never allowed whatever we do not to be fully invested or fully done with large percentages of African Americans. Obviously, we don't live in this world alone. And obviously the consequences of what has happened to us in the past has made us subject to have partners from the outside to get things done. But we can assure the community that there will be African American jobs and African American complete participation, like has been in the past, in whatever we do going forward.
Nice. So jobs for African American, housing for African American.
Yeah.
So
And
ownership of African Americans.
The New Hope Development Institute, which is run by Lanisha, will own the building. We don't have to wait 15 years to get control of the building or ownership of the building. We will own the building once it is built.
What is the ask of the community? How can the community come in and help support this movement? Because this movement it's a good movement and it's very strong. You not only are just saying this, but you have the papers to show what is going on. You can prove that all of this is happening. How can the community step in and help?
Well, I think that we need community support. We need community support because we have a recommendation going before council to deal with these problems. And this is just, probably the beginning of this whole process. And we need to demonstrate the community is on board for land restitution and for this kind of move. And I think we've been asking for handouts for too long. I mean, we need to find strategies that are going to help empower our people and empower us to be able to do things for ourselves with land that we owned and that we were illegitimately pushed off of. And I think that's the time is now to begin that process. This is just the beginning. I want to stress this is just the beginning. It's just a microcosmic piece of what this is all about. But I think that we have to be successful with this step to take step 2.
Nice.
Yeah, and we have a lot of momentum already going. The press conference had so much support. The speeches were amazing, and I noticed that the rally is also for unity. So many community members came together on this, and Councilmember Sawant was there to speak, and is really in support of the resolution. So I think we're going to have opportunities to voice support at council member meetings and things like that.
Yeah,
too.
Absolutely. We'll be talking about that at the rally at times when we need to speak up at the council meetings. In other words, they're not going to give us our land back. We got to take our land back. And New Hope right now is in the process of taking its land back. And we will assist in this process going forward. But, we have to be organized, and we have to be committed to this process to make sure that the restoration of our community, or at least the healing of our community in whatever way that happens. And so New Hope and is committed to that process going forward.
Is there, if someone wanted to reach out and join and support and join the committee that you're doing, how can they reach out and support and join? Or be
they can. I think that what we're going to do is we're probably going to set up a committee through Black Dollar Days Task Force, which we'll be talking about going forward. But right now, what they can do is they can call Clean Greens, call your number, and give you their name, and when we set the committee up, they can be a part of it.
Okay.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Email and call, and we will keep you on a list to be informed of any.
And come to the rally, yeah.
Yeah. Email Black Dollar Clean Greens at gmail.com. If you want to be a part and support, or if you have follow-up questions, it would get back to Reverend Jeffrey. So this is exciting. So the rally will be this Saturday, noon, on 21st and Fur, to rally for reparations for land taken from New Hope Baptist Church and other families that were in the community.
Yeah.
You have this plan to build low-income, affordable housing to bring people back into the community that was misplaced.
Yeah.
So that is exciting news. I worked in housing for a little bit, and some of the new words that they use that are they don't just come out with racist rhetoric now. Now it's your credit score, or what else was the word? Their criminal history. Mm-hmm. So these are new forms of ways of getting people out. So I am excited that you're bringing people back. You're building something to bring people back in, because like you said, we live on this earth together, and the CD, what we call CD and the newcomers are calling downtown, cannot thrive without everyone in it.
No, it can't. So no, it can't. I mean, it can't thrive with just billionaires and millionaires and people who work for them, who make exorbitant salaries. I mean, that's not America, and that's not democracy. I mean, and that's not the way it should be. And that's not what the market would have had it be. That's what orchestrating the market and weaponizing stuff like eminent domain, and that's what greed and deceit and racism made it be. But that's not what the market made it be. And we need to be clear about that. And so that, that's not the way going forward. That's not the way we're going to all be able to live together and prosper on this planet, with one group trying to manipulate privilege and power and sustain itself at the expense of another. That's not something that can be ongoing. That has to stop, and it has to be addressed and redressed. And that's what we're in the process of trying to stay and do.
Nice. Well, up next is Traffic Jam. Thank you, Dr. Jeffrey, for joining us as always. Yeah, we hope that you come out and join the rally this Saturday noon on 21st and Fur. Rainier Avenue Radio will be there. kicking off the
Yeah.
rally, keeping you updated on everything. We hope that our community can come out and support us. Is there anything?
Surround sound band will be there too.
Surround sound band will be there.
Nice.
They'll start playing at 11:30.
Nice. And there'll be vendors.
Thank you. See you there.
Rainier